Welcome to the Core Women Podcast, the place for women entrepreneurs, authors, and self-starters looking to build community and gain valuable insights through expert interviews with women at the top of their game. Join your host, podcaster, producer, expert coach, entrepreneur, and author, Dr. Summer Watson, as she aims to inspire and empower you through these candid conversations. Lean in and embrace the journey. It's time to start the show. Here's your host, Dr. Summer Watson.
Welcome back to the Core Women Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Amber Monroe, Senior Vice President of Customer Experience at Paradigm Senior Services. With over 2 decades of leadership in healthcare operations and customer success, Amber is a first-generation college graduate, a mentor, and a fierce advocate for women in the workplace. From launching a groundbreaking women's employee research group to turning You're Not Ready into a leadership success story. Amber's path is marked by resilience, purpose, and heart. In this episode, we'll explore how personal loss, perseverance, and passion have shaped her unique leadership style and how she's paying it forward by uplifting others. Welcome, Amber.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
And I'm excited to have you on the Core Women Podcast. But before we dive into your professional journey, if you could describe your life to this point in one word, what would that word be and why?
I would say resilient. I think that I've had so many different life experiences that really have knocked me down. And it would have been easy for me to really sit there and stay knocked down. But I definitely think I'm the type of person that just picks up their bootstraps and says, how do I keep moving forward? I'm a very optimistic person. So I definitely think resilient is me through and through.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Let's start out with your early journey. How did the loss of your mother at such a young age shape your sense of responsibility and leadership style?
Yeah, I'll go back and just talk a little bit about that. So, my parents married very, very young. They were loves in high school. And my mom, unfortunately, was killed in a car accident when I was 5 years old. So, it was very abrupt, very sudden. My father was left with myself and my younger sibling, who was my sister. She was 4. So the two of us were very young. He was also in his early 20s. And so that was a very, very disruptive thing to happen to our family. We'd also lived in New York at the time, and our family was from the Midwest. And so my dad ended up relocating us back into the Midwest. And there I really felt from that day forward, I really kind of stepped into this mother role. And my sister, even to this day, she's just a year younger than me. She still says I'm such a strong, mother figure for her, even though we weren't that different. It must be the birth order thing too, but also going through that tragic loss so suddenly, I felt a responsibility at such a young age to step in and step up and not necessarily fill that space, but fill a little bit of that gap that we were missing with the loss of my mother. And so I think that that's really shaped me in such significant ways. I think I am a very resilient person. I am someone that through tragedy and loss have really found my personal path. And I'm the type of person that really leans into my strengths very, very heavily. So I am a people person at heart. I love people deeply. I care about people deeply, and I don't try to shy away from that when I show up as a leader. I'm definitely that vulnerable leader. I'm definitely that leader that really shows wears her heart on her sleeve. And I'm definitely someone that gets stressed and someone that gets worried and someone that sometimes questions myself and sometimes my actions. And I do think that honestly, all of that has really shaped how I show up with my team. And so I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of strong mentors in my life, women that I really respect and admire. And I feel like at times I've emulated some of their strengths in my own leadership style. And then I've kind of created my own personal niche of like how I show up at work. So I definitely think that has really shaped how I show up for my team for sure.
Oh, it sounds like it. I want to take a step back and ask you about resiliency. Do you think that resiliency is innate or is it learned or both?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. I definitely think that my environment that I was in as I grew up, I had such a caring, loving father. And I think he was someone that through that tragic loss, too, was able to connect me to a therapist at a very young age. At that time, I think it was really critical for my growth and my ability to be resilient and move forward. And so I think it's both. I think there's some biological things that actually helped make me incredibly resilient, but I also think there were environmental factors that also influenced how I showed up resiliently. So I think it's probably a blend of both. And I think it definitely can be learned. And I think I've gone through pivotal changes, even like just the whiplash of relocation. You know, when you're young, I went through moving pretty consistently and it made me really adaptable as a person. I was able to quickly connect with people, find ways to make friends. And I moved probably 6 or 7 times before I was in 6th grade. So it was a lot of movement, which for some people feels really unstable. And for me, I think I had to find a way to work through that. I was the oldest kiddo too, so I always wanted to do good and make my parents proud and do the right thing and really be that person that demonstrated like this is how you should walk into the world for my siblings. I felt that responsibility, whether it was me putting those responsibilities on my shoulder, because it definitely wasn't my parents or my dad putting those responsibilities on my shoulder at all. I think a lot of it was me.
Yeah. And I think there's just certain personality types too, and that internal makeup that really develops that resiliency, whether it be something innate or something learned or a combination of both.
Yeah,
And just like your sister, who is only a year younger, said, I still look at you as kind of that mother figure.
yeah.
But yet you might have said that to her, because I have an older brother and everybody says to me, "Are you older?" And I'm like, no, 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 no. It's just how I think we view the world from our own eyes and our internal makeup.
Yes.
But I think we can learn that resiliency as well through the environmental factors, as you said. So thank you so much for sharing that. Amber, let's go on with you being the first generation college graduate in your family. How did that experience impact your drive, especially in a competitive landscape?
Yeah. I was a very competitive person growing up. I think I was competitive in all aspects of my life. I played volleyball in college. I played competitive sports growing up. I also was very competitive academically. I was striving for the top. I felt like I was on this wheel, like striving for the top. My dad had never gone to college, and that was something that was very interesting to me. It was like, hey, there's this path for college. This is something that I can do. And I had to figure a lot of it out on my own. My dad didn't have a lot of experiences, so there wasn't a lot of support there to help me navigate the FAFSA system or scholarship or grant offers or don't take out too many loans. Like, there wasn't a lot of financial education or even education about what I was about to walk into. And so I just happened to earn a scholarship for a college, but college was something I was very interested in going to. When I earned that scholarship, I think that really set me on the path for success. I had strong academics, I had strong skill set in athletics, and it allowed me to open up this path of going to college. And I graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I was so incredibly proud of myself. It was something that I was like, man, I set a goal for myself and I achieved it. And I did it with the support of everybody around me. And then even later, I pursued a master's degree in health administration, and I pursued that graduate degree on my own independently as a way to really further my education and also make sure my skills were sharpened for the type of work I was expecting to do or the type of work I wanted to do. There's an innate drive that I've always had, this little burning fire that sometimes gets really big, and I want to reach for the stars. My husband always tells me, he kind of grounds me sometimes, and he's like, "Have you reached the stars yet? Have you reached the stars yet?" And I always tell him, I was like, "Oh no, honey, like the sky's the limit. There's so much more work to do. There's so much potential impact we can have." And I'm the person that doesn't shrink myself. I'm someone that really blossoms when I have opportunities in front of me. And I'm a type of person that will write out my goals and I just run towards those goals. I really, really do.
Amber, you allowed me to segue very easily into the next question. Are you ready for this one?
I'm ready.
You were once told you weren't ready for leadership.
Mm.
How did that moment shape your mindset, and what did you learn as you went on to lead a team of 30 plus?
Yeah, so I will never forget this moment in my life. I'll never forget it. I was thriving in my career. I loved the company I worked for. I loved the team that I worked with. And I was given a lot of extra duties and responsibilities. I was also the type of person that was very reliable as an employee. So if anybody, as a colleague, if my manager, if the director, if anybody said, "Amber, will you help with this?" I was always pretty much saying yes. How can I help? What can I do to serve? How can I be there for you? What do you need my support with? And I kind of said yes a lot. And when there was an opportunity presented to me, I sat down with my leader and I said, "Listen, I know the next step for me in my career path is I really want to move into leadership. I'm doing a lot of the duties and responsibilities today. I enjoy it. It's something I'm super interested in." And I just remember that moment, his face kind of turned a little bit white and almost as if he didn't know how to communicate it to me. And he just said, "Well, let's talk about this at another time. I don't think this is the time to have like a growth conversation." And I was like, "Okay." So we scheduled time for the following week. And that following week, he came in and he brought his leader. I had never met his leader before, so she had not worked with me directly on any projects or anything. And he just came in and said, "Hey, let's talk a little bit about your growth path." And he says, "I just don't feel like you're ready for leadership at this point." And so my first question to him is, what are some things that I could do to close any gaps that you see to help ensure that I'm prepared for this leadership opportunity? And quite frankly, his response was really unsupportive and it wasn't super clear on like what I needed to do. And so I left that meeting and I was feeling really like disheartened. It was a company I loved, it was people I loved, it was an organization I wanted to stay at, and I didn't feel the support from my direct manager, and his leader was even in that meeting supporting my boss in the conversation. So it's difficult for me, but I'm also the type of person that I set with intentionality. What do I want for my career? And I've nobody else owns my career except for me, myself, and I. And so I will never allow an organization to dictate what I will and won't do and what I'm ready for, what I'm not ready for, and definitely in an organization where I didn't feel great support from my manager. And so I am also the type of person that if you tell me I'm not ready for something, I'm like, "Well, let me show you." So I'm the type of person that's like, "Okay, I'm not ready for it. Let me see what I can do to get ready for it." So I probably listened to so many podcasts, read business books on leadership. Like I'm the type of
Wow.
person that like doubles and triples down because I'm also really competitive. And when somebody says you're not ready, it's like, all right, I need to prepare and get myself ready so I can really earn this position. So I made a conscious decision to step outside of the organization and apply for a supervisor position, which I felt like was a good fit for me. And I just happened to do it at a large academic health system in the Midwest. And the leader that I interviewed with was the most caring and supportive human I've ever met in my entire career. And she saw something in me And she was like, you know what? I think you would be incredible for this job. And we absolutely would love to have you. And we'd be lucky to have you. And so I went in from managing 0 people to managing over 30 employees.
Wow.
And luckily, there was so much support that I had from the leadership team, but also that academic health system really puts new leaders into training programs to make sure like we know what we're doing
Right.
and we could do it successfully. And so for me, I really took a lot of control in that situation. And I didn't give the power to my direct manager who didn't feel like I was ready. I really took the power in my own hands and said, what do I actually want for my career? And then I just grabbed a hold of it. And I'm really proud of myself for doing that because I'm saying this, but during that moment when it happened, I probably spent a good 3 days feeling very down.
Yeah.
I felt down and I probably, beat myself up a little bit and was really starting to look internally. There was a lot of like negative self talk that was happening. And then once I got out of that negative self talk, I was like, okay, get it together, like focus, compartmentalize, and let's move forward. And that's what I did.
You know what, Amber? Thank you for that honesty, that transparency, for telling us about that evolution of that experience. I think it was, just as I hear you talking about that experience, a very natural response
Mm.
to be down,
Hmm.
especially when you didn't feel supported, especially when you were asking the right questions. How can you help me bridge these gaps? How can you help me become the leader that you don't think I am right now?
Yes.
And you weren't getting that mentorship, nor were they allowing for any kind of reverse mentorship because you were really being the leader in that room by asking those questions, by saying, hey, okay, if you don't see this right now, then how can I improve in such and such a way that will help me reach that goal? And there
Yes.
wasn't any support in that conversation. So you made a shift. You went on. You found a great support system, a wonderful job that would actually hire you as a manager, as a supervisor, and mentor you through that
Yes.
to make you a stronger, healthier leader,
Yes.
which is awesome. So, can you tell us about launching the first women's employee research group at a major academic health system? What sparked that initiative and what impact did it have?
Yeah, I think for me too, as a person of color, I really think there's a lack of representation for us in executive leadership positions and in leadership positions as a whole. And so I really was on a path to change that in my current academic health system. The academic health system is in the Midwest. And I had worked with a lot of women in my department that were highly talented women with a high interest in growing in their careers. A lot of people used to go to the college there, and then when they would graduate college, they would move over to the academic health system and they would work there. So we had a huge opportunity to really create mentorship and support and also community for women. And there was a way for us to do that successfully. And I do remember on a quarterly basis, that academic health system used to have a summit where they would pull all the managers and leaders off site, and we would have a keynote speaker, and then we would have someone talk about this. And I remember at the time, the head of the human resources department got up on stage and he said, listen, we have initiatives we want to roll out. We are very interested in rolling out the first employee resource groups. And I am needing leaders across our organization to raise their hand and help me with this initiative. And again, I'm the same person I was at that old job. I am who I am, and I'm the person that says, how can I help? So as soon as that conversation happened, the very next week, I reached out to their head of HR and I said, listen, I have a passion for supporting women in their careers, and I would absolutely jump at the opportunity to lead our employee resource group. And he said, great. And then there were two other folks that were also interested in leading the employee resource groups in other segments. And so the four of us really came together and we started to find out what is an employee resource group, what landing page do we want, how do we invite people to join, what's our mission, vision, our values, what are the terms we're going to put in place. And so once we kind of ironed out the organizational structure, we said, okay, now it's time to invite everybody that works here to participate. And we grew pretty rapidly. And I was very lucky to serve as a chair for over a year and a half, where we were able to put a lot of great initiatives in place. We were able to create private breastfeeding rooms throughout the entire organization for women that are breastfeeding in private areas. We were able to really be strategic partners to the executive leaders of the academic health system to ensure that they're constantly supporting women in their careers. We created a mentorship group for women that were early in their careers and women that were more advanced in their careers. And then we did a lot of off-site events where we were coming together as community. And it was a really inspiring and an amazing thing to be a part of. And when I left that organization, to this day, it is still thriving. I feel very proud to have been a part of that initiative and that launch of those employee resource groups.
That is fantastic. Now tell us where you're at today professionally.
Yeah. So today I'm the Senior Vice President of Customer Experience for a company called Paradigm. Paradigm is a revenue cycle management company that supports home care agency owners across the country. So we work with over 4,000 agencies and home care agencies that take care of individuals with developmental disabilities, pediatric patients, and our seniors. And we have a high focus on supporting home care agencies into looking into alternative ways to ensure their organization. So we look at not just privately handling claims, but also Veterans Affairs, Medicaid. How can they service more veterans in our country? How can they service more Medicaid beneficiaries in our country? And so we really support agency owners in diversifying their payer mix. And we have a strong focal point on supporting our veterans in our country. And so we do a lot of advocacy around access to veteran benefits, ensuring our veterans are getting more hours of care. And it's something we're deeply passionate about. And we're on Capitol Hill talking about it. And so now I lead an incredible organization where I lead a team of, I'd say we're probably around 25 to 30 folks. I lead a customer support department, our account management team that manages all the relationships with our customers, and an enterprise team who manages kind of our top accounts and some of our big corporate partnerships. So that's kind of what I'm doing today.
That is fantastic. That man long ago didn't know who he
Didn't
was dealing with.
No, he didn't. And you know what? So funny because I look back at that 20-year-old that was told that she wasn't ready for leadership. And sometimes you need perspective too, where you just step
Yes,
back and say, wow, I'm really proud of the things I've accomplished in my life. And I'm really proud of the path that I'm creating for other folks. We have an incredibly high promotion rate of women,
that's
of
fantastic.
diverse women in my organization. It is something I will continue to foster in any company I ever work at. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. So it's a true passion of mine. And I make sure to track all of those metrics with any organization I work at. And I also ensure that when it comes to our executive representation in an organization, that there is a balance of female representation in an organization. And I'm a pretty quick person to call out when we're hiring another man for a position. Now, we need a good balance of our male and female counterparts. We definitely do. It creates great perspective, but I'm a pretty quick one to say, hey, I got a really strong qualified female that would do wonders in this position. And I'm the first person to advocate for bringing someone up in their career wherever I work.
Well, that is fantastic. And I would have to say, when you do look back, you almost have to thank that man for saying and doing what he did, because here you are today,
Very much so.
doing wonderfully
Very much so.
and being an advocate and a mentor for others. So, as we come to the close of the interview, my last question is, what tip would you give to a woman of color navigating executive roles where authenticity and inclusion are still developing values?
Yeah. I think it's be true to yourself. Always be true to yourself and what interests you, what drives you, what motivates you, and really understand your why. And if an organization or a company or initiative or project doesn't align, it's okay to realign somewhere else. One thing I will never do is sacrifice my own desire or my own mission in life or my own why for any organization. I am who I am and I need to show up authentically. And the best way to do that is working in an organization that I'm passionate about. So always be true to who you are.
Thank you, Amber, for joining me on the Core Women podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. I appreciate it.
This is an absolute pleasure to speak with you. You can follow Amber Monroe on LinkedIn and at paradigmseniors.com.
Thank you for joining us on the Core Women podcast with Dr. Summer Watson. We're so glad you're here and would love to connect more with you. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Core Women and on Twitter at Core Women 1. For more about Core Women and Dr. Watson, visit corewomen.com. Want more support and resources for amazing women like you? Great! Join Dr. Watson and Jen Fontanilla at the Life, Love, and Money Collective, a Core Women production that aids in understanding the key traits that might be getting in the way of living a life that you are absolutely passionate about. Connect with Summer and Jen and find out more at thelifeloveandmoney.com.